There is a serious escalation of tensions between Israel and Palestine these minutes. The escalation started yesterday, and since yesterday, we have seen that hundreds of rockets have been fired from Gaza into Israel, and Israel has carried out several airstrikes. More than 20 Palestinians have been killed so far, which among them 2 are women and 8 are children. 2 Israelis have also been killed in rocket attacks from Gaza. Escalation started yesterday, viewers. Yesterday, Israelis were due to organize Jerusalem March, viewers. And on Monday morning, clashes erupted between Palestinians offering prayers in Aqsa Mosque and Israeli police officers. You might have seen several videos showing Israeli soldiers storming Al-Aqsa Mosque, viewers, police and Muslim worshippers at Al-Aqsa Mosque. Then, viewers, after that, clashes broke out in Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, which is in Jerusalem. And Palestinians have been ordered to leave their homes in Sheikh Jarrah, viewers. And Palestinians have been angry about these eviction orders given by Israel. And clashes broke out there in Sheikh Jarrah. Jerusalem March was held. Its route was changed, viewers, but tensions remained high. Then Hamas fired rockets, viewers, and more than 600 rockets have been fired into Israel from Gaza in the last 24 hours, viewers. Israel has one of the best air defense systems, short-range air defense systems called Iron Dome. Iron Dome is a state-of-the-art air defense system, very effective against rockets and artillery shells. But viewers, the barrage of rockets fired from Gaza managed to penetrate Israeli Iron Dome air defense system, and dozens of Hamas rockets have reportedly landed in Ashkelon city in Israel. Reportedly, Hamas is using Sajal rockets, Sajal missiles which are manufactured by Iran. And Hamas is saying that it will intensify its attacks. It will target Tel Aviv if Israel keeps on conducting airstrikes. Israel has carried out airstrikes, and a commander of Qasim brigade of Hamas has also been killed in these attacks. Some residential buildings have also been targeted by Israel. Tensions are running high, viewers. An interesting aspect to this situation, viewers, is that Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, is set to leave office. He could not form a government after elections held a few weeks ago, because 4 elections have been held in Israel within the last 2 years. Because Benjamin Netanyahu is facing corruption charges. He is facing a trial over corruption charges. He could not form a government. Now, Israeli president has invited opposition parties to form a government. Some analysts say that this escalation suits Benjamin Netanyahu. He would like to escalate tensions to remain in office. Watch 2 videos. In the first video, you can see Israeli Iron Dome air defense system intercepting and destroying rockets fired from Gaza, though dozens managed to penetrate and land in Escalation city of Israel. In the second video, you can watch US State Department spokesperson facing some tough questions about condemnation of Israeli airstrikes on Palestinians. He did not answer several questions posed by journalists. This video has gone viral. Watch 2 videos, viewers. Thanks for watching.
Oh God. we're speaking of the principle of self-defense. We certainly.
I'm asking if you think that the principle of self-defense applies to the retaliatory, the airstrikes that they're conducting in response.
Matt, this is a very fluid situation. I would hesitate to comment on operations beyond, the rocket fire that is clearly targeting innocent civilians in Israel. So I would hesitate to speak to specific operations that have just occurred. But the broader principle of self-defense is something we stand by on behalf of Israel and every other country.
Do you think that an Israeli military response to the rockets coming in, a military response to the rockets coming in is covered by this broader rubric of self-defense, right?
Self-defense often does authorize the use of force.
Thank you, Matt. I want to ask you about East Jerusalem, but let's talk about what you said about the principle of self-defense. Does that in any way apply to the Palestinians? Do they have a right to self-defense? Do Palestinians have a right to self-defense?
Broadly speaking, Saeed, we believe in the concept of self-defense. We believe it applies to any state. I don't think that. I certainly wouldn't want my words to be construed as.
I understand. I want to ask you on Israel. I don't want to harp on this either, but the Israelis killed 13 people just now, including maybe 5 or 6 children. Do you condemn that? Do you condemn the killing of children?
Saeed,
I'm asking you, do you condemn the killing of Palestinian children?
Obviously, and these reports are just emerging, and I understand, I was just speaking to the team, I understand we don't have independent confirmation of facts on the ground yet, so I'm very hesitant to get into reports that are just emerging. Obviously, the deaths of civilians, be they Israeli or Palestinians, are something we would take very seriously.
Okay.
You're going to know as soon as I read what your answer was that there's a big problem with it. You said, well, not a problem, it just doesn't answer the question. We believe that it, meaning the right to self-defense, applies to any state. Well, you see the problem, right? Yes?
Do you want to?
Do you regard Palestine as a state?
I wasn't
referring. Do you think that? You don't in the context of the ICC and the UN. So are you saying that you do not? If it applies to any state, are you saying that Palestinians don't have a right to self-defense?
I was making a broader point, not attached to Israel or the Palestinians in that case.
So they do have a right to self-defense.
Matt, I'm not in a position to debate the legalities from up here. Our message is one of de-escalation.
All right.